Hi, welcome to the Nita Black Show. Okay, got a lot of notices today about Oprah's town hall meeting about race and the discussion of where we go from here. And of course, your number one question that you had was, is this for real? Is she being real about um, wanting to really deal with this race issue? And I can only answer your question um, truthfully. And truthfully, no. Um, in order to have a real discussion about race, about where we go from here, even a discussion about fixing the issues in the black communities, um, it has to start with the truth. And I know you guys are seeing this camera. I have a little bitty camera that's making my eyes look really weird. Um, so hopefully you guys understand that we have to do it with the equipment that we have. My other camera is acting crazy, so it makes me look like I got these little bitty eyes, and they're barely open, and all you can see is a little black in my eyes. But anyway, um, we're going to talk about uh, whether this was even meant to be a real discussion. And you can tell when something is uh, meant or not meant to be a real discussion on race and on what the black community should be doing solutions wise, by who is invited and also by who is not invited. So people were like, when I gave that answer to people, they were like, well, Miss Black, are you saying that you're upset that you're not invited? That you were not invited by Oprah to, as a teacher of the Black Panther School, um, to be a part of this? And my answer, of course, is no. I am not upset. Um, I, unlike other people, if I'm going to be a part of any discussion with about the issues facing the black community, I have two requirements. One, it has to be about the truth. And most discussions, all of them are not. Um, the other thing is, I do not, and you guys that know me for a long time know, I do not discuss black issues with white people. I think that is a violation. I think that is insulting to the black community. I don't. It's you can't get me to any kind of discussion where you're trying to make it politically correct and comfortable for white people. Black history is not comfortable for black people, and therefore it should not be comfortable for white people. So even the discussion of it has to be done when it comes to solution has to be done among blacks. So, no, even if I were invited to a discussion that had those two things prevalent, they were trying to be politically correct and not talk about the truth, or they were trying to um, discuss black issues uh, while making white folks feel comfortable, I would have to say no, thank you anyway. So no, I this is not the kind of discussion that I would be invited to or even accept an invitation to. However, there are some black people that black people felt should be invited, and there are some black people who felt that they should be invited in this discussion, having dealt with the black community on a consistent basis for quite a while, and those people were not invited. Those people were almost uh, deliberately excluded in order to keep from making white people uncomfortable. So we're going to deal with that part. Now, what's going to happen here? Like I say, the town hall that they're having is going to be happening over the next couple of days. And so it's a 2 day thing that they're inviting a lot of people to speak on the issues in the Black community and solutions uh, from their point of view, um, about what to do and where to go from there. The problem with the list of people that are going to be there, you have a lot of, excuse me, you have a lot of uh, females that are have made a career, including Oprah, out of mm, bashing um, and basically being against black males. And black males feel that that means she is disqualified, and they are disqualified from addressing issues that is pertaining to black males. You also have a lot of uh, black females that, for example, um, are you'll hear from this female district attorneys who have made a career out of punishing black males for the exact same things that white males um, get minimal sentences for, if they get any punishment at all. You have some politicians that promote females as a victim of domestic violence, even though they know that females are prone to slap, hit, beat, throw throw stuff on black males all the time. And those issues are not talked about. So black males feel like this is not a discussion that's going to be real about both people's, male and females, issues in the black community. This to many black males that we spoke with were just seeing this as another attempt to guide people toward the Me Too movement that does not include men. The Men Too movement that was immediately swept under the rug, and um, they were disregarded. And many black males feel like they don't want to be a part of a discussion that continues to do that, and then rally and claim to be uh, dealing with issues that address black males. So they say no, thank you. Alrighty. So as you can see, I have been very sick lately, but stuff still need to be done. So we're going to still get it done. Um, I am in a lot of pain and very tired, but that's okay. If those of you that saw me in Atlanta on June 2nd for the blackout, um, surrounded by a bunch of military people with sniper guns and uh, and drones and um, threatening tactics. Well, because I was out after curfew. Um, the At the end of it all, they understood that you brought this to a black civil rights city. You, while the children were extremely wrong for throwing stuff and the agitators that were there, and I was there the whole day, so I got to see all of the things that were done. Um, the to have the military once again, like it's 1965, uh, in a black civil rights city, and to have black politicians okay with this, to have black civil rights people okay with this. And I told you guys in other shows that there's a difference between people that are blacks for black civil rights and black civil rights people. Black civil rights people are just people who happen to be black, but they fight for the civil rights of everyone, and everyone does not need their fight. So they end up giving 50%, 40%, 30% of their fight to black people, and the rest they give to other people. So we're going to address some of the issues uh, that have gotten black people in the situation they're in. No matter how many black organizations there are, no matter how many politicians talk about, making things better, the fact that so many black politicians and so many black organizations are actually helping white people to continue to control black people is why the situation has not changed. And unless you're going to have a town hall meeting that addresses that truthfully, then no, nothing about this town hall meeting uh, can possibly be truthful or real. So let's start a real discussion about what it should go into a discussion or a town hall meeting on Black issues and Black solutions. All right, so if you saw me on the 2nd of June, 2020, out across from CNN in my wheelchair, uh, like I say, surrounded by military and sniper rifles on the roof and all that good stuff. It is because I was not out there, and everybody knew that I was not out there for the foolishness that was out there. Everything that you saw out there was 100% staged. Um, every single black person was like they were in a commercial. They were required to be with a white person. They were required, it appeared, to give white people the comfort level to put on black fist t-shirts. Um, you had black people out there with what used to be called black natural hair and processed minds. Almost every single black female that you saw was either there with a white homosexual female or was there with a black homosexual female, holding hands, hugging, whatever. Um, every single black male that you saw there was almost. There were a couple of families that came down. I was concerned that they brought children down there to see all of that, but that's a choice that parents have to make. Um, they Almost all of the black males were there either with a white homosexual male or with a white female, and each black person you saw was either with one uh, white person, two white people, or three white people. Like I say, it looked like a movie set. It was 100% staged. At the end of it all, um, it was clear that throughout the day that this was not about George Floyd. This was not about Black lives. You To help some of the children that did have questions understand, and I'll help you guys understand as well. You cannot promote that you believe in Black lives mattering if you are promoting the destruction and the termination and the elimination of Black lives. Now, yes, there are females that are have illnesses, had to um, have surgeries, different things like that, completely different. But for those of you that can literally pay a doctor to slice a baby apart in your stomach and vacuum it out, for those males that no male in his right mind would be proud to have people knowing that he is um, having relations with another male. No black female in her right mind would be proud to let people know that she's having relations with another female. So what you're seeing is whites all the way from the 70s. You saw them come in with the flower buses and the free love and the STDs. You saw them come in and really mess up the minds of black people. And as black Panthers were trying to uh, get them to find their minds, to find their blackness, to be proud of their blackness, you had generations of us that were trying to get even our young peers to understand that there is uh, a history of black people before the slave trade that every black child should know. And whites came in 1976, and from 1976 to 1999, they literally shelved all of the black uh, uh, movies, back black music that was trying to educate black people, and they took over the rap industry and created what was basically crack baby rap. And they started working on the minds of black children in order to get them to accept a new mental slave trade that was just as devastating as the physical slave trade. Every day you're seeing the devastation of that. And then from 2000 uh, till now, they worked on getting black males to literally not only give up everything that is black about them, but to voluntarily kill off their own black bloodlines. And then they started working on black females like Janet Jackson, Serena Williams, Garce Bouvier, to get them to promote the elimination of black bloodlines and to basically say that white males are superior to black males. They had for years, since the 70s, uh, been working on getting black males to promote white females as superior to black females. So, those of you that saw me out there, you probably saw the board here that you see. Let me see if I can show it to you. Uh, if you can see that, you probably saw the board. And I'm going to give you an idea. I'm going to try to stand up a little bit and give you an idea of what was on the board in case you didn't see it. Okay. So as you can see, you always have people that are trying to figure out what they can do to help. And so we always give them opportunity to help um, if that's something that they would like. But we're going to start here, where you have a lot of people that I don't know if you guys can see that, but you have a lot of people that try to black out for a day. And what we were trying to get them to understand is that a blackout has to be happening 365 days a year. Um, there has to be a conscious effort to include as much blackness in your buying as you can every single day. We wrote a series of books called the ABCs of Blackness to help people understand what happened to black businesses, black communities, and how to fix those things. We have black entertainers speaking out. Those of you that know me know that I wrote 114 books to explain to you what we did wrong, what went wrong, and how to fix it. So down at the bottom, you'll see, I don't know if you guys can see that, but we put a blueprint out. The elders had put one out a long time ago. And what I did was just kind of uh, simplify it so that it's something that you can read very easily and uh, implement those things immediately in your city, no matter where you are. Um,
as those of you that were out there know that I am been working on the marijuana legalization campaign in the black community since 1999, even back when black folks said, oh, white folks were never going to make marijuana legal. Um, so this year, we're working very, very diligently to try and get some ballot issues that addresses the marijuana equalization, the marijuana situation once and for all. Okay? So up here, you'll see we have black entertainers speaking out. We have groups of black bikers that are always speaking out about the issues that they see traveling around the country. And we have black people that let us know um, how they feel about black lives. And they may not get the news footage that you guys see all the time, but they're out there and they're black people making Black Lives Matter every single day without all the foolishness. We also, many of you that may already know, we, and when it comes to solutions, one of the biggest solutions that we implemented was black suing all 50 states for the loss of black bloodlines. Yes, uh, getting out there marching and all that stuff is good, but march after you've uh, filed your lawsuits against these different municipalities that are uh, taking over black neighborhoods and killing off black people. Okay, we have those a lot of black people that work on the reparations issue. So if you guys want to get involved in the reparations issue, there's plenty of black people and black organizations that are doing that. And of course, as I'm running for office, you guys know I'm the legalization campaign. I want it national in the black community. I want you to be able to grow your own 6 to 12 plans. Now, a lot of the books that I have, people are not pleased with because, like I say, I deal with things that people don't want to talk about. They're not politically correct. Over the years, you have had white women telling black women that it's okay to be 350 pounds, 400 pounds, be big. But at the end of the day, those black females email and text and they're crying because they are not comfortable with that. No matter how much they smile and try to make it seem like they're okay with it, at the end of the day, they are not. They don't like being that way. They want to do something about it, but society has now made it where um, they feel like they can't really talk about the fact that they don't want to be fat no more. So we wrote a book about it. This one here that you see in the purple is part of the ABCs of Blackness, and it basically lists all of the points and get black children to understand that black elders, black ancestors did not survive the slave trades for them to be doing the things that they're doing. It is disrespectful, and um, there are some things that need to be changed. A lot of people are very upset with the Confederate flag one, but we let black folks know. A lot of children have no idea what the Confederate flag actually means. So we let them know that it represents hate, not heritage. I don't care what people tell you. The Confederate flag represented hate, not heritage. Of course, we have the Black Panther blueprint. We go through and we explain the political process. This one you see in the black is a little bent up a little bit because it's traveled a lot. But um, in 2004 and 2008, we put out a book that said, I paid the president to destroy America. Who am I? And we go through and let you know exactly why the presidency uh, seems to focus on certain things. This one at the top kind of got us in Facebook prison. Facebook did not like this book here. Zuckerberg immediately put me in Facebook jail and then permanently put me in Facebook prison. And for those of you that don't know, if you're in Facebook prison, you're also in Instagram prison because Facebook owns Instagram. So this one is called Connecting with Blacks on the Facebook Plantation. And once you read it, you'll know exactly why they did not like it. Okay, so that gives you an idea, if you were not out there, uh, what it was all about. Okay, so clearly they knew we were not out there to promote the things that everybody else was promoting. We were out there to address some real issues. And that is not what the media or the organizations want. They want people to promote only those things that they feel are acceptable, that are politically correct. Sorry, I'm sweating a lot. Um, they do not want you to deal with any real issues. Uh, they want you to avoid real issues at all costs. One of the ways you'll know this is because you'll be prevented from talking about certain things. If you're prevented from talking about certain things or a certain group of people, honestly, then you know that that is an agenda. That is not about uh, dealing with any real issues. That is someone's agenda. If you can talk about Trump, but you're not allowed to talk about Biden, then you know that the Democrats and the liberals are funding that particular um, event, that particular campaign, whatever it is, that particular rally. If you're able to talk about Democrats and liberals, but you're not allowed to talk about Trump or the Republicans, then you know that that is Republicans or Trump people that are putting on that rally, that campaign, that whatever it is. If you are allowed to talk about Democrats and Republicans, but you're not allowed to talk about homosexual perversion, you're not allowed to talk about the things that Jews have done to the black community, then you know that uh, that rally, that event is being put on by Jews and by basically by Jewish liberals. So you want to make sure that you're paying attention to these things. So when you have a town hall meeting like the one that Oprah is about to have, you know that if it's focusing on women's only, if it's focusing on the Me Too situation, because they're very upset that black folks have kind of gotten off track with the liberal agenda, the homosexual agenda, the different things that make a lot of people a lot of money. Um, the climate change thing is the last thing that black folks should be worried about. We got children dying in the street, and they got black folks talking about climate change. And then they'll say things as you'll see in the Anita Black show when I did a show on climate change. They'll tell you things like, this hasn't happened in 10,000 years. Well, 10,000 years, you didn't have automobiles. 10,000 years, you didn't have freeways. You didn't have all this stuff. So if it happened 10,000 years ago, then it is a cycle of something, and they are using it to frighten you. Okay, they're using it to make you react a certain way. So we want to make sure, if you that you're understanding that. If you hear people saying that Trump does this, that, and other, and you hear them completely try to silence you when you talk about where Hillary gets her money from, where Biden gets his money from, where liberals get their money from. When they're silencing you on those things and they only want you to talk about one person, like you're on a schoolyard or a high school, uh, bullying campaign, um, where you're all bullying and ganging up against this one person, when you all do the same exact thing. Now, you have people that are no fans of Trump,
but they are also no fan of Hillary, no fan of Bill Clinton, no fan of Biden's, no fan of liberal agenda, no fan of the pedophile agenda, the homosexual agenda, none of that. So the problem is that they try to keep you from talking about those things and focus you all on that one kid on the playground, which to this at this time it was Trump. But many people know that just in 2000 and 2001, that child on the playground that everybody was trying to focus on was Bush. Now, the exact same people that talked about Bush and Condoleezza and Colin Powell like dogs in the street, uh, are now saying that looking at talking about them like they're the heroes. They're endorsing Biden and they're against Trump and this, that, and other. I even saw one of the things that was sent to me was where Colin Powell literally said that he's endorsing uh, Biden because Trump lies too much. I could only believe that a reporter simply made that up or just misquoted him or something, because this is the same person that stood up in front of people and said he was sure satellite photos showed that Saddam had weapons of mass destruction. But what they count on is black folks being distracted by things like this town hall meeting and forgetting that Kanye said that Bush don't like black people. You know what I'm saying? So now you want to parade Bush as the best friend of the Obamas and the best friend of Michelle Obama, and this wonderful person that just black folks should just love. But it really is insulting to black people for them to do this. And they get black entertainers, black celebrities to help them do it. And that's even more so insulting. And so you had a situation that the people sent me. Black folk went off on the 6th of, I think it was like the 6th of June, where the whites in Congress, including Nancy Pelosi, put on kente cloth and basically tried to pacify black people. And blacks were like, well, they passed all this legislation and this, that, and that. Well, first of all, that stuff that should have been, some of it was already passed a long time ago. Others of it should have been passed a long time ago. But the fact that they were willing to pander to black people at this particular time, black people should have found it insulting. And the fact that Oprah Winfrey only comes out when the cameras are excitedly snapping, the fact that black folks can only see black attorneys come out when there's a bunch of cameras around. There's plenty of black people sitting in jails and prisons right now that can't get a black attorney to even answer their calls, let alone show up. But immediately when something becomes sensational, you have one, this family or a family here, a family 2 years ago, all these different families every 2 years are able to get a bevy of black attorneys calling them while other people are innocently sitting in jails and prisons. And that is insulting. So, those are the types of things that a real town hall meeting on race and a real town hall meeting on solutions should be addressing. Okay, so just so you know that. All right. So what we're going to do is over the next couple of days, um, as they're going through their town hall meeting and the discussions of their town hall meetings, we're going to help you guys understand exactly what's going on, break it down for you so that you understand uh, what's being addressed and what's being avoided. So here we go. Let's see what we got here. Floyd funeral. His crime was that he was born black. Okay, so now, with this, when the media puts out things like this, what you usually have is a liberal media person that is going for ratings. Okay, so they get black folks all hyped up about this, and then they start pacifying. There's a lot going on. Okay, um, you say the next one, student breaks quarantine to throw rogue prom. Now, you got a lot of children that are very upset about missing their prom. This is a once in a lifetime thing. This is something that they went through their entire schooling for. Yes, the education is wonderful, but you're supposed to have memories of your prom, memories of your graduation, and we're going to talk about Event 201. This was a experiment to see if you would be okay with white folks locking down the entire world and basically reinstituting um, control over the entire world. So, but these students, back if this had been a couple of months ago, the next morning you would have heard about all these students suddenly, mysteriously having coronavirus. We tried to get black folks to understand truthfully one, coronavirus, it's a flu. And the other thing is, it doesn't jump over people. The flu doesn't attack you because you break quarantine. The flu doesn't attack you because you're Republican and jump over liberals. The flu doesn't work like that, which is how we knew that um, these things were being put out there to scare people. Okay, so now let's see what else we got. Now we got a bunch of people that are throwing people under the bus because it's the politically correct thing to do now. So you have a reality star fired for calling cops on black co-worker. Okay, so Terry Crews, he gets black backlash for saying that it is black supremacy to not include white people in a discussion about the black what's going on in the black community. Okay, uh, there's a big story about behind the in it what's behind the NFL's sudden shift on racism. As you know, Colin Kaepernick could not even get um, a team to hire him because he took a knee, and all of them were saying it was because he was a horrible quarterback and this, that, and the other, all these different excuses, but everybody knew the truth. But the thing is that dealing with the truth and speaking the truth is one thing, but until it's politically correct, a lot of people simply didn't do it. They either were quiet or they went along with the status quo. All right, so now let's see. Oh, it's a lot of firings going on. MTV fires the challenge cast member because let's see why they fired her. Over Black Lives Matter comment. Uh-oh, people are showing what they really feel. All right, so now people are getting fired because of that. Now, you got a story about that keeps coming up about Vanessa Bryant, and she's seeking hundreds of millions of dollars from the police and from the helicopter company and all these different things. But we're going to talk about what really happened to Kobe Bryant and to his daughter. Because a lot of people don't realize that Kobe Bryant was actually funding, we told you in another show, he had funded a movie, a very serious movie, uh, taking on the prison system. And he had bought out a uh, a theater, to several theaters to do screenings of this movie called Just Mercy. And the movie would have been with his backing and with Michael B. Jordan and Jamie Foxx. It would have been quite a movie for people to see, especially black males. But he was threatened, of course, not that the movie, not to be involved with the movie. And to help you understand how we knew that he was killed because of it, he bought out those theaters on January 10th. The movie was due to be released for Black History Month on January the first. I'm sorry, on February 1st for Black History Month, and he was killed mysteriously on January 26th. And so, if you follow the timeline of what was going on with the movie, and then the fact that nobody said anything about the movie as they were talking about how tragic his death was, and how sad and all this good stuff, but we look to see what did B. Jordan say about it? What did Jamie Foxx say about it? Why weren't they saying anything about the movie that he had just funded? That's a pretty big deal. Why were they being so silent about that? So we looked into it, and what we found is the same thing that you will find when you look into it. Okay? And so let's see what else we got here. Oh, I know that historically I'm one of the best quarterbacks to play the game. Okay, so we're talking about black quarterbacks that are now saying that they were passed over for white quarterbacks. Okay, let's see what else. So every day, blacks have all of these different stories that come up, and they some of these same people are rallying and doing different things about how Black Lives Matter. But like we told you, if you have a black male like Kanye West, who spends his entire career promoting white females as superior, then seeing him at a rally is really insulting. It's hypocritical. Um, for him to come out and say Black Lives Matter unless you're trying to mate with somebody, or unless you're trying to marry someone, or unless you're talking about not having black children. Um, Black Lives Matter as long as I can marry a white person, as long as I can have mulatto white children, then, I'll come out to the rallies and do whatever and make a showing. But saying that Black Lives Matter, black people really making Black Lives Matter, have to call out these black male entertainers that are promoting white females, promoting white supremacy, basically, promoting white females as superior to black females. Black females need to understand that they are a part of this problem as well, because they have made the Kardashian white females rich, buying all their stuff and saying, how beautiful they are, and going and buy hair like them, and it's incredible. While these Kardashians are going and paying thousands of dollars to get black female behinds and black female hips and black female waists and all the it, man, y'all have no idea. Um, when I see black females okay with this stuff, it lets me know exactly how mentally ill whites have really made black communities. And that's the kind of stuff that has to be truthfully dealt with. Okay, so let's see what else we got. Of course, you got the basic stuff of everybody talking about what Trump does while not talking about what Democrats do or liberals do, until Republicans decide to get up and talk about what Democrats do and what liberals do, but then they won't talk about what Republicans do. So that's how you know. Now, the big story going on is, y'all know, the Meghan uh, Markle thing has been in the news since she married the white guy, Meghan Markle, mulatto, a white female. And yes, she is mulatto white. If you stop her on the street, you would not think she's black. That's what mulatto white means. You are either mulatto black, meaning that you are mixed but you look black, or you are mulatto white, meaning you are mixed but you look white. Mulatto means mixed. Okay, so
Stop getting mad at the word mulatto. That's what it means. That's what they are. So um, she's going to, uh, she's her and the white guy Harry is going to be speaking to people at every level about George Floyd protests. Now, you got these people that are actually trying to uh, make make black folks believe that they suddenly woke up and they're all into um, the police killing this black guy and this black guy dying. What this is media saying, asking them a question. What do you have to say about it? And them trying to give the politically correct answer. Now, in order to understand, uh, if you had asked, if the media had asked them, how do they feel about um, black people being homosexual and killing off black bloodlines, they would have a very difficult time answering that question because that's not a politically correct question, which means they can't give a politically correct answer. Okay? If you asked how she feels about, she got a lot of flack about trying to go to Africa and have her mulatto white baby in Africa, and um, people gave her a really hard time because she tried to say she was trying to get back to her African roots and all that stuff. And one of the main things people said is, if you were really trying to get back to your black roots, then you would have married another mulatto uh, white person. You would have married another person like yourself with a black parent and a white parent, and so the two of you can start, you know, healing the whole situation. But you chose uh, a white male. You chose to be a part of this circus that is this white royal family that many know are still colonizing and have been colonizing Africa for quite a while. Okay, so let's see. Protests across U.S. attacked by cars driven into crowds. Now, normally, you you drive a car into a crowd. I don't care what's the situation. You're charged with vehicular homicide or attempted vehicular homicide. But you don't have police officers doing this. You don't have different people doing this, and people are acting like, well, is it a crime? Should they be arrested? If this was any other situation, it wouldn't even be a question. Now, the other way that you know the Black Lives Matter thing is, like I say, 100% staged, is because, and many black people, they're insulted by it, but they understand what's going on. So every time you see something about the protests, about the Black Lives Matter movement, it is either about homosexuals, um, males trying to be females, females trying to be males, or it is about biracial couples. There is no kind of promotion whatsoever about a black male with a black female, especially not a dark skinned black male with a dark skinned black female and dark skinned black children, which is what Black Lives Matter should be about. But it's not. So now here you have them shaming companies, and these companies are not being shamed into giving money because they care so much about Black lives. These companies, just like before, are being shamed into giving money for um, homosexual perversion. You are you have all of these transgenders and trans this and LB. Every time you see, you'll know what it's really about because the one thing they mention is the LBGTQ community, and that lets you know it has nothing to do with Black lives. Okay, so here it has Jeff Bezos goes off on this guy who sent a letter about him from supporting Black lives. Let's see what else we got. What Minneapolis will look like after they abolish the let's see what their hold on one second what their abolish their police department. Okay, so now
You got people calling to defund the police department, which most people don't want because as soon as something happens, the first thing they do is call the police. But either way, it's the cry that hypes black people up. Now, once white people, you'll see on our Twitter thing, once white people are gone, once the hype is gone, black folks are going to have to deal with these issues and they're going to have to do it truthfully. Whether or not they're going to be prepared to do that, it still remains to be seen. But that's something like the 1% and the climate change and all that different stuff that whites hyped black people up about. Even back in the day when they say Bush and Condoleezza and all them were criminals, they hyped black folks up about that stuff. And then white folk went on back to the suburbs and on back to their lofts that had torn around black communities to build lofts for white people. And black people were left, uh, basically on their own. But that's the rallying cry right now. Defund police departments. And what they want to do is give the funding to black communities. But they don't say give the funding to black communities. They say give the funding to our communities, which means black folks are getting set up for gentrification, even more gentrification. And now they're making white people feel comfortable about gentrification. See, we're getting all this money into our communities, but there are fewer and fewer black people in those communities that have been black communities for quite a while. But it makes it okay. All right, so now let's see what else. Oh my goodness, they just got it. You guys, when you go through these different news scrolls, just pay attention to what's being said, what's not being said, what's being avoided, the different issues that they're talking about, and the ones that they are not, that are more even more devastating to the black community. Make sure you pay attention when everybody is all jumping on one person and they're not talking about the stuff that they do. As black people, you constantly have black advocates talking about what white people are doing to black people and talking about what black people are doing to black people trying to be like white people. And so, the most of the black gang members that you see used to be walking around with Al Capone, I'm sorry, what's his name? Al Pacino shirts on for Scarface. They were trying to be like this white guy that was in the mob. And that white guy hated black people. And next thing you know, black gang members hated other black males and was killing each other up trying to be like this white guy. And so just remember, look deep into this stuff. Don't just take it at face value. Read the story, see what they're talking about. See how many times they promote the homosexual agenda to children. It's real important that black parents start paying attention to that because they're setting these children up. A lot of people don't know if you haven't seen our show. Um, in our shows, we tell you about the 80s, the 1960, all the way to 1970, and then 1970 to 1980, where homosexuals came in and kind of took over Martin Luther King and the Black Civil Rights agenda and what they were trying to do with the black, getting black people civil rights. And they made it into a civil rights, human rights situation where they were trying to attach homosexual perversion to black civil rights. And Martin Luther King, they unfortunately fell for it. And from 1970 to 1980, white women came in and started doing this feminist thing. And even some of the founders, the people that went with the founders of the Black Panther Party, many of them fell for it as well. And you had black females that used to be all about black power and black families were now with white females talking about they were feminists and they were in love with a white woman. And there's a lot of things that we've seen over the years. But here you are again with white people trying to attach homosexual perversion, even pedophile perversion, to the Black Power movement, to the Black issues in the Black community. And so you want to make sure that you're paying attention to that because it's leading you to a slaughter. It's leading your children to a slaughter. And I don't care how much they try to call people homophobes and homophobic, which means scared of homosexuals, which is not correct. Some people are disgusted. Some people are not with it. Some people are speak out against it. It does not make you homophobic to tell the truth. It doesn't take you make you homophobic to tell the truth about NAMBLA. It doesn't make you homophobic to tell the truth about ACLU and what they do when it comes to Planned Parenthood and get black female abortions and um, spreading the homosexual agenda, and soon spreading the pedophile agenda. You have a movie called Lamb, and Lamb is a 41-year-old man in love with a 10-year-old girl. And they're about to try and they're setting you up to be okay with that. And because you keep falling for each of the things that they are spreading to you, um, unfortunately, they're setting you up to fall for that as well. All right. So you had a black male and that what they're doing is trying to put a black face on the homosexual pedophile agenda so that black people will be more accepting of it. You had a black male in full dress on Sesame Street. If that don't tell you that there's an agenda going on and that black parents need to wake up and pay attention, I don't know what else can. All right. So you got a bunch of football players that are basically asking why y'all didn't say all this stuff, why y'all wasn't doing all this stuff when uh, Colin Kaepernick first took a knee. Y'all were all against it. Y'all were, calling him all kinds of names. And now suddenly, because it's politically correct to do so now, you guys are acting like you is his best friend. Okay? Um, we're going to talk about uh, what led up to this as far as people being tired and wanting to get out and do something. And we're going to talk about Event 201. Event 201 is a uh, experiment that Democrats and liberals did. It basically looks like mostly Democrats and liberals at the table. I'm sure Republicans had their hand in it somewhere, but it mainly, from what we've seen so far, was um, a experiment by Democrats and Democrats and liberal billionaires um, that uh, wanted to see what if they could control the entire world. They're trying to do the New World Order, and they wanted to see what it would actually basically do a test run, and it worked like a charm. They literally shut down the entire world. And so, if you guys don't know about Event 201 and the coronavirus COVID-19 scam, you guys need to start paying attention and looking into that stuff because this Event 201 literally laid out exactly what they were planning to do from the release of a virus all the way to shutting down the world. And people had no idea that they were cheering doctors and nurses, and then doctors and nurses were killing themselves because they had been made or had to make the decision to kill black people in hospitals, and they were having a very difficult time living with that. And so there's a lot of things that happened from November of 2019, which is only a few weeks after the end of this simulation event 201 before the release of this virus, um, which was a weaponized flu, and it every indication shows that it they knew it didn't come from any kind of wet market in China. It came from right across the street at the lab that someone